It's me. I know you guys have been waiting with bated breath. Here I go again. I know I did a couple yesterday, and I wasn't really gonna do any more for a while because I don't I'm not trying to do this every day, even though I could probably. But something happened today that I wanted to talk about. I went, I think I talked about I had that interview. Well, it wasn't really an interview. It was more like they have an assessment test you have to take, and they ask you all these stupid questions. What would you do if blah, blah, blah? What would you do if blah, blah, blah? And I actually was kind of worried about it because I knew there was going to be a typing test. I knew there'd be a typing test, even though I can't figure out why somebody with a master's would have to take a typing test. But no job is beneath you if it's an honest job. I've always believed that. My family, I have a family of workers. Everyone in my family works. We've always had a strong work um, ethic, and no job is below you if it's an honest living. However, there are there is one job that I would rather be a call girl than do, and that is telemarketing. Okay, hell for me would be having to be a telemarketer. See, that's what I think hell is. I think hell is room 101. Hell is the worst thing that you could possibly imagine, and I could not imagine sitting in a room and calling strangers' homes and disturbing them and saying stupid stuff. But now this job that I went to see about today, it wasn't a call center. I was for a like customer service when people um call in. And I don't want to say, but I think it was for a cell phone company, but evidently this company contracts out. I don't know. I don't know. But I went, just to see what was going on because I filled out the application online. They called me for an interview and for a to take the test. And if you pass the test, then they give you a interview. Well, halfway through the test, I knew I didn't want that job. People were leaving during the test. People were leaving. Now, as bad as jobs are these days, people were getting up and leaving during the test. They didn't even finish the test, right? Um, Call center work is modern slavery. And I don't know in the year 2115 if you guys are still going to have call centers because there's some jobs that human beings have to do. You know, I mean, you can program a computer um, to automatically make calls because I've gotten those kind of stupid calls. But you a computer will never allow people to call, not yet, probably by the time you guys see this, but not yet. Are we capable of having a computer you call up and the computer answer your question? Now we can talk to the computer, or we can put numbers on the phone, or either we can say yes if you want to do this, state what you're calling for, that kind of thing. But there will never be, we don't have quite yet, you call up and say, hey, my cell phone's acting up, I need, something's wrong with my bill, what's going on, blah blah blah. So these are one of these jobs that, but it's in my opinion is organized slavery. Okay, and it's minimum wage. I mean, okay, if you were getting $25 an hour for the hours they want you to work, mandatory overtime, okay, all hours of all weekend, and then it said, okay, and I have never Okay, the first red flag was this. I have never seen on a job assessment or a job application anything like, well, we pay a lot to handle people, hire people. How long are you going to stay here? I mean, literally questions like that. Questions like that. Um, we can't. Will you be willing to work mandatory overtime? You won't have 2 days. You may not have 2 days in a row off. New people that are hired will have the basically they didn't say lousy, but that's what I took from it. Lousy hours. The training. Well, I didn't find this out till after I left. The training is it's 7 weeks of training, paid training. It's from 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. or 3:30 in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night. Neither which I can do because I commute. There's no way I could get out to Federal Way by 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's no way I can get home at 11 o'clock at night. Well, probably I could get somebody. It's probably somebody coming this way, but that's beside the point. Then you had to go through the tests and everything. And I mean, if they're hiring 100 people, any business this day and age that is hiring 100 people, that's a red flag because the turnover in these places is worse than fast food. It's incredible because it's people calling in, they're mad, they're stressed, or whatever's going on, and yelling at you for minimum wage, which is $9 an hour now in 2015, which by the time you guys will probably be $100 an hour. This is going to seem incredible to you, but it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and it took all day for me to get there, all day to do this crap. I'm just now getting home, like 5:15, something like that. I left my house at 10 o'clock this morning. So I was really worried. Number one, being resenting having to take a um, typing test, and I have a master's degree. Number one. Number two, you. This is the kind of job you take right now till you find another job, basically. And pretty much this is what they know. They know this. So I went in, I sat down, I took the test, and it was so funny because I can't type. I mean, being a writer, you would think I could type. I can't. I type about 20 words a minute. That's all I can type. Um, and I don't see the necessity of you in a environment where people are calling you, working in a call center, people are calling you. There's not that much to type, for heaven's sakes. Why do you have to type? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, you have to fill forms out and stuff like that, but why do you have to type 20 words a minute? I don't understand. You can type somebody's name, Marysmith. I mean, how much? In the forms already filled out. So I went on. I took the test, and people were leaving by the time and they weren't finished. They were just getting frustrated and getting up and leaving. Um, the When I went back out after I got through, when I went back out, I put my coat and gloves and put my purse in my lap because I knew I was leaving. I knew I was leaving because I knew I hadn't passed the typing test, right? So I'm just sitting there, I'm ready to go. But the fun thing was I did get to there's a college campus, right? Well, it's actually in the same building as a college, a business college that we have out here. And it was kind of fun being in a college. Well, what I did was I got there very early because I didn't know exactly where it was, so I didn't want to be wandering around. I didn't want to be all, when I got there out of breath from, running around. So I'd already decided that I would get there really early, get something to eat because I didn't have time to eat this morning. I only had time to have my to have my um, smoothie and take my vitamins. That's all I had time to do this morning. So I made myself a sandwich, which was pretty smart because I really wasn't trying to spend any money. I didn't know what might be around in that area to eat, and it's a good thing I did. And when they told me where it was, it's in this business college building. And I thought, ooh, well, it's got to be a cafeteria there. It's got to be places to sit. It's got to be somewhere, to relax for a while. So I got there early 8. Um, then kind of freshened up, a little, redid my lipstick, repowdered, got all nice and fresh, and then I walked around to the other side of the building where the place was, and sat in there, took the test, got through, came out, and she said, "Well, sit down for a minute." And I hate little white girls. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that I hate white girls because there are white women that I love that are in my life. I couldn't imagine my life without them. But I'm talking about those little hussies that have these jobs and they think that they are cute. And she had a condescending manner, and I'm like, honey, I know how much you getting paid. You getting paid minimum wage, if that. she they had this thing, they wanted everybody to be dressed business casual. There were people sitting there with sweatsuits on and all this mess, and I'm dressed up. I actually had this jacket on, I had something else underneath it. She's sitting up there with this condescending attitude, and thinking she's cute because she's got a job, and we people who were coming through at this moment were looking for work. Honey, I have spent more on a pair of underwear than you make in a week. So you're nothing. You're nothing. And you're nothing. I hate those kind of girls. They're always in customer service. They're always like in Target working. They're always in these stores working. And what somebody needs to do, well, I'm not going to say that. I'll say this. I have wanted to snatch one of them by the collar and slap the daylights out of them. And you guys know what kind of, and women my age, white or black, native, Asian, what island, whatever, trans, gendered woman, man to woman, whatever, you know. Um, and they get on our nerves. And you guys, everybody knows that type of girl. Everybody's had to deal with one of them. So when I come out from taking the test, she says, sit down. I sit down. And oh yeah, it was funny. I was sitting there taking the test, and a some woman runs in, goes, well, where's the lady that was sitting right there? And somebody else said, well, oh, she looked kind of frazzled. Frazzled. I think she left in the middle of the test, y'all. Um, these kind of little jobs like these are, it's not funny because they're slavery. They're absolute slavery. That's all they are. They take advantage of people who are down and out. They take advantage of people that are desperate. And see, that's why they have such a high turnover, is because nobody's going to stay there that long for minimum wage and be stressed out like that by people cussing them out and hollering and screaming and all that stuff like that. 2 minutes after I was there, I knew this job was not for me. I knew it. But I went on and took the test because it's 7 weeks of paid training. And I figured, okay, if I get in, I'll take the 7 weeks of training. And then while I'm looking for another job, because it's easier to get a job when you have a job. So I knew this was not, for me. There's no way. And then so the girl goes to me, I sit down and she calls me up and I go up, and she says, oh, you typed 23 words a minute. And I was like, oh my God, because I knew that was the thing that was going to get me. I wasn't going to, she said, but unfortunately you failed the customer service part. Now, Now, I have interviewed for my master's thesis was on homeless recidivism. I have walked up to homeless people and asked them why they're homeless and how many times they've been homeless and what was their career before they became homeless. I have worked in a shelter. I have worked for nonprofits. I have a thing with people. I know customer service. I have over 10, 11, 12, even though I haven't done it in a long time, years of retail work. I have worked as a receptionist in a real estate office. And anyone who's worked as a receptionist in a real estate office knows how busy it is, you know. And this was back in the day when you had to do the floor book and everything by hand and all that stuff like that. You know, you had to take all these messages from all these people and do all this crazy stuff. And when she said that, I just looked at her. I just looked at her. You know, there's an old saying, don't burn your bridges behind you. I always say it to my son. And I just stood there and looked at her. Well, first of all, I did something really rude that I never ever do. I never use my cell phone. I get on kids about it all the time. I never use my cell phone about you know, in front of a person. If I'm standing there dealing with a person or you know something like that, I don't look at my cell phone. But I knew I was leaving, so I didn't care, you know. So I'm standing there, I'm looking down at the cell phone, you know, looking at my, because I had to turn it off, you know, during the test. And that's when she told me that I failed the customer service part. And I just look, I don't know the expression on my face. I wish I had had a camera. You know, it's one of those days where, you know, me and my friend Pat always say, yeah, I wish I could have seen my own face. I wish I could have seen my own face. I can't imagine what it looked like. And I'm standing there and I said, what? You know, what? And she's, oh, let me stop laughing. And she said, you failed. Unfortunately, you failed the customer service part of the test. And then she says, but you can come back in a month and try to take it again. I looked at her. I just looked at her. I said, thank you, and walked out. And I went back downstairs and you go back down to the lobby part and of course by that time I had to powder my nose and I wanted to make a phone call and you know tell my coach. Well, at Rally Point 6 they're called a scout on um at the other place there, you know, it's a coach, a career coach. I called my career coach and left a message for him, and then I called my scout at Rally Point, and I'm laughing. I was just laughing, and I guess she thought I was nuts because every you know with all this stuff going on, all this stress going on, all this crap that's been going on, having to move, blah blah blah, all this stuff going on. Um, I haven't been in the greatest moods, you know, and you know getting all these job rejections and all this stuff. I really haven't been in the best of moods when I've talked to one of them. You know, it's always something crushing, I didn't get the job or whatever whatever, but this time I was hysterical. Well, because in a way I'm glad, and I think maybe I self sabotaged myself, but I can't imagine how, because they asked these stupid questions where um um you couldn't explain. The only thing you could do is to pick one or the other. So it said something like the few should be sacrificed for the better of all, or I like to play tennis. I mean, it was that stupid and abstract, just that stupid and abstract. And I don't know. I don't know. I think I know where I messed up though. I think I know where I messed up, and I'm gonna wait till part two and tell you that because I think I know where I messed up, but I don't have time to tell you. And I want to tell you how I met a person who is in the training class now and what she told me. So I'm gonna stop it here because I won't have time to tell you the whole thing and I can't rush through it. But I'll look at this and see, and then do the other part.